Hey everybody, welcome back to Sergeant Stock TV. I'm Big Mike.
I'm normal Jason.
That's right. Hey, you know what? I read a comment somebody wrote, and it says, "Hey, um, you all need to stop with all that BS talking and get to the point of the matter. I don't care about all this BS." And I'm thinking, you know what? I said, "Thank you for your advice." But this is our, and I capitalized our channel, and we like the way it's going. Um, but thank you. Okay. So I'm waiting to hear back from him. Now, here's the point I was trying to make. The name of the channel is Sergeant's Talk, which means we do some talking.
Just
Okay.
a little bit.
Sergeant's Talk TV, not Sergeant's Here's Your Information TV. Okay, we do give you a bunch of information, but we feel when we started the channel, this is a place for veterans to come, feel comfortable, might learn a little bit of something, but you can say whatever you want, ask anything you want. We invite people and I forgot to put that into the chat, the invite in case you want to come up. All we require is that you show your beautiful mug before you come up.
Yeah, and like you said, while you're typing that in there was, it is Sergeant's Talk, and it's, as veterans, I think the most important thing we can do, one is connecting with one another, because when we're not in the service, a lot of us ended up losing contact with a lot of our veteran buddies. Guys that we thought, hey, we're gonna be pals till the rest of our days, and you haven't heard anything from them since boot camp or MOS school or your first duty station. And it is a hard part of the military lifestyle of making such strong friendships to find out that your only commonality was that the fact you were a roommate or you went to the same boot camp or your job, whatever. There's that military commonality between it. And I talk to a lot of people now, amongst our homesteading community, because now that okay, we're veterans, but what do we do with our life every day now?
Right.
And, as homesteaders. And I'll tell you, I've never been part of or had the greatest friends than the homesteading community that we're part of.
Right.
Every single one of them give their shirt off your back. And the thing is, and I think that why those bonds are so tight is we all have a major commonality in how our lifestyle is.
Sure.
It's not a job. It's not just a hobby. So yeah, for us to come up on a platform, we get it on our talk channel too. They're like, why don't you guys ever do work? It's a chat channel. You want to see work? Here's the link to the main page, and we do all kinds of work over there. But
if you're in the chat and you want to give your 2 cents, come on up and 2 cents the hell out of us. We don't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us what you think, what you want to talk about, and hell, we have a subject every week. Okay, we do have a subject every week, but that's to it. That it could go to hell in a handbasket. If somebody has something they want to talk about, whatever. I mean, we did get an email from both of us got an email from a gentleman saying, "Hey, I served in '86 to '88."
Yep.
Hopefully that'll hit memory, and that he wants to do his VA claim. Yada yada yada. I was overweight. I got kicked out, but I have all these symptoms now. And the bottom line answer is every veteran should register and apply for veterans health care. Every veteran.
Yes.
Okay. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's our advice. That's step one. And if you go to the VA.gov website, set up you an account so you can get in there. it says right there, do you want to start a account or veterans health care or a claim? And it takes you right through the whole process. So yes, you should. Number two to that is you need to request a copy of your healthcare records, or hopefully you got a copy of it before you got out, and you need to scan through there. If it says blah, 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 and you look over there and you say, hey, blah, blah, blah could be service connected, you better do it. Whether it's service connected or not, everything that's in your medical records, you file for.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a dislocated ankle. Boom. I'm putting that on there because it may be service connected. It may fall under another one, non-service connected. But the point is if you hit 40% or more, all those ones that aren't service connected get taken care of by the VA. Full health care plan. Okay, right. That's the point. Your goal is 40 or more, and they only go by tens. So that if you want health care and you don't want to pay, I don't even know what frickin' people are paying for a health care plan on the civilian side. It's probably scary as crap. Especially if you have a family and you got a bunch of kids. So yeah.
Well, I know that was a big driving factor for me of even re-enlisting. Oh, thank you, Denise. Appreciate you, sister. That my first re-enlistment, because I literally was done with it, but that was a huge driving factor was healthcare.
Yeah.
I had a wife and 2 kids at the time, and I started looking at what it was going to cost me just to have health insurance. Because while you're in, you don't think about it. It's free. It's covered. Hey, you got an issue, you go to medical, your family goes to the hospital. Like you don't worry about it. And then, and of course, I never worked a regular job that I worried about healthcare, before the Marine Corps.
Right.
So that was never a thought in my mind. And I started pricing it, and I'm like, I can't afford it. Not on the the wages of what I was looking at entry level positions at the time.
Sure.
So yeah, that's and I do remember, and part of his question was he's already submitted, so he's done that. He's actually on step like 8 of 10 or something like that, right?
Oh, he was on 5 of 8, yeah.
5 of 8. So the nice thing, what when I responded back to him, I'm like, hey, you're in the waiting game now. And I think that's the biggest thing, that if you're just now going in, or somebody that's going in, you just it's the waiting game. It's the worst part of it. And 2 months will feel like 10, and 10 months will feel like 2 years. Like it's the clock moves so slow when you're waiting for that status.
And poor Doug Collins, you come in there with all this piss and vinegar, and you're going to do this and this, and then you find out you just got a bunch of lazy freaking government employees that you are not going to rock the boat. This is the way we do it. And I mean, he tries hard. Don't get me wrong. He tries hard, but it's hard to break the establishment and the way they do things.
The way they're here's the hard thing that I'd found out, and I found this out with my ex-wife when she was working for one of the, not the VA directly, but QTC, one of their claims. It is almost impossible to get fired from them.
Yeah.
You've got to commit murder in the workplace before they're going to look at letting you go.
Yeah.
It's
she's $1,000 per month. It's crazy. Well, the storm just hit, and it sounds like someone's got a bucket up in heaven and just pouring it on our house. It's crazy outside. Well, so if I leave the show, it's because we have a humongous sale coming across right now. A few minutes ago, it sounded like a bunch of people out there beating on frickin' 55-gallon drums. I mean,
well,
good
and I
Lord.
kind of you mentioned it before we went live, but even when I was starting to come up, was I'd seen the little whirly dot of waiting for your, and I'm like, uh-oh. And I was like, I better, and then you popped up. I was going to pull up the radar and see if you were having, it hasn't hit us yet. It's supposed to hit us sometime early tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
But
dude, it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I am so sick of it.
From my side, you're getting a little pixelated, so
oh my gosh. Hey, so let's get into it. I put everybody's name up on there, so we're not going to go through saying hello, but if we put you up there, that's just us saying hello to you. And I'm glad you all are here. But we're going to talk about Veterans Affairs employee, a VA employee, a raider, who and 9 other people were indicted for defrauding the United States in a disability benefits fraud scheme in Puerto Rico. Okay. They thought Puerto Rico was out of sight, out of mind. And yes, they've been getting away with this for a while. Okay. And we're going to tell you about this story. And if anybody approaches you as a veteran, says, hey, I work for the VA, I can help you out, just say no. You will go to jail for fraud. Okay. So here you go. San Juan, Puerto Rico, on May 21st, 2025, a federal grand jury in the District of Puerto Rico returned a 49-count indictment charging 10 individuals with defrauding the government to obtain Veterans Affairs disability benefits. This criminal investigation was co-led by the United States Veterans Affairs Office of the Inspector General and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So everybody got on board. The OIG, the DOJ, and the FBI are all in on there, and they attacking these people like freaking a pit of cobras or whatever. But yeah, they're getting ready to put the smack down.
So according to the court documents from 2020 to 2025, so this is a 5-year span, the defendant, Angel Rivera, used his position as an employee of the VA to access the Veteran Benefit Management System and assign particular claims to VA employees that he supervised. At the same time, he communicated with a facilitator, defendant Richard Mayton, regarding what false medical conditions should be claimed by specific veterans to fraudulently obtain disability benefits.
Yeah, together, Angel and Richard and various veterans accused of fraudulent claims for lifetime VA disability benefits to be submitted and approved based on false medical conditions, all in violation of U.S. Code 18371, conspiracy, and 1349, wire and mail fraud conspiracy, and 1341, mail fraud, and 1343, wire fraud. In doing so, defendants financially enrich themselves and cause a substantial loss to the United States. That means you taxpayers.
Yeah. Angel and Richard charged and received payments for facilitating the approval of VA disability applications based on false information. The veterans participating in the scheme fraudulently received VA disability benefit payments. So that's kind of the key. And I guess going back, and even Patrick was like, hey, wasn't the scariest phrase, right? I'm from the government. I'm here to help.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody coming from the VA, and I guess I want to throw this little disclaimer on this part of it, was if they do work for the VA and they're trying to help you, The thing that went wrong with this was they received payments, right? And they were in the approval process, but they received payments not just from the VA, but from these veterans that they were getting the false claims on. Like,
Oh
if they're
yeah.
a VA employee and they're to help, you don't need to pay them extra money.
Yeah. You can't go in there and say, I lost my left foot and put a claim in and you still have a left foot and you knowingly know, hey, this dude's cooking the books on me and I'm allowing to do it because I'm accepting the payment.
Yeah.
That's the key. All right. When you accept the payment and you know, it's just like when they went to 90% on me, I'm going, how in the hell on my printout did they get to 90? I did the crazy VA math. I worked it over and over, and I'm going, man, this is pissing me off.
And it's still good math.
And it's still no good math. So then I go to the VA, and on the va.gov, it has it broken down for me under my account. And I looked at it, I said, whoa, wait a minute. How come this never shows up on my VA claim? You know, that sheet that they give you? I'm going, there's two other things that I've never seen before. But when I went to my CMP exam, check this out. Not only did he look at my back, okay, and I got an MRI scheduled for Monday because it's really killing me. Not only did he look at my back, he actually read my entire medical history. And he found out that they didn't add into my medical records that they cut the bottom of my foot open to remove nerves that I had impacted and blown out years ago. And he's going, whoa, wait a minute. He's got foot problems, and this might be a reason why. And they accepted it from the doctor. Then he said, not only do you have back problems and you think you have neuropathy, he goes, you don't have that. You have sciatica in both legs. And he wrote that up. Dude, they added that on there. Next thing I know, I said, then when I got those numbers and I did the VA math, I said, that's how they get it. Now I only need 3% more to go over the 95. Then they'll go straight to 100. But I can't find nothing else wrong with me.
Well, but in the VA math system, that 3% really, to get you over the 95 really is 30 because of how they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you use a 10%, you don't move. You don't move if you put 10%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't move. It still goes to zero over here. But anyway, let's get back to these knuckle butts. Okay. The defendant created and executed a scheme to defraud the United States Veterans Benefits Association, which administers vital programs that provide disability benefit, pension, and survivor benefit, education assistance, among other benefits. These defendants exploited a program intended to assist veterans who are truly in need, said Stephen Muldrow, United States Attorney for the District of Puerto Rico. I commend the outstanding work of the FBI, the VA, the OIG agents, and law enforcement partners who uncovered and investigated this conspiracy. Because here's the truth. If you commit a crime and even one person other than you know that you committed the crime, you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
In this case, there were 9 other people. And what happens is this supervisor says, hey, you guys are working hard. You're working hard, and you all are disabled, but you can do better. So as a rater, I'm going to look at your stuff off the record and I'm going to find a way to boost your rating so you can get 100%. And that's exactly what he did. He inflated all their disabilities, okay, approved it, sent it up, worked it through, and got them exactly what they needed at 100% to get, like, some of them were only making like $1,800 a month. Now they're making $4,100 plus dollars a month, okay, in this fraud scheme. That's what he did. And they accepted it, knowing that there was no way in hell they could get from 50% to 100% with their medical records.
Right.
But he fudged the numbers, he fudged the cases, and he got it all approved. So, yeah.
This case is part of a nationwide initiative led by the Department of Veteran Affairs, IG, and the United States Attorney's Office for the District of Puerto Rico and the Federal Bureau of Investigation to combat fraud and other unlawful conduct committed by predatory claims, companies, or individuals against veterans and VA, said David Spilker, Special Agent in charge of the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs Office of the Inspector General. Southeast Field Office Criminal Investigations Division. That guy's got a title. It was like half the paragraph.
Yeah, no doubt.
Entities involved in these schemes often are unaccredited and make false or fraudulent promises to obtain or increase a veteran's VA benefits, while demanding direct payment or a portion of the veteran's benefit in exchange. These indictments and arrests highlight the VA Inspector General's dedication to root out those who prey on veterans for financial gain, along with anyone who exaggerates or concocts a disability to receive or increase VA compensation benefits.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, and now because of that, when they found this out, the VA said, "Hey, is this happening somewhere else?" And now all the claims have slowed down. And there's a video out there with Doug and the VA director, Doug Collins, and it has slowed down because all these agencies, the OIG, the DOJ, the FBI, the VA, are all in these guys' shorts, and they're reviewing every case an account of money going out to make sure what they're doing in Puerto Rico is not happening everywhere within the VA system. Okay.
Especially
now, I don't know what this.
Yeah, with this guy being up in the rating, he was a rater, the one that issues them. So pretty high up in the chain of decision making for them,
Yeah.
for all the right reason. I mean, it sucks for anybody that's pending a claim right now, and it's slowing that process down. But you got to catch the crooks, so it's going to make the rest wait.
Oh, no doubt. So this investigation reveals a disgraceful scheme to defraud the system meant to serve our most valuable veterans or vulnerable. Sorry about that. This is shameful. This is shameful, and the FBI and our partner will not tolerate this kind of behavior, said Mr. Kowalski, Special Agent in charge of the FBI San Juan, Puerto Rico office. I want to thank our partners at the VA Office of Inspector General and the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Police of Puerto Rico and San Juan Municipal Police and the dedicated FBI case team members for their outstanding work. The FBI remains committed and dismantle fraud that steals from the American people and dishonors those who served. Okay. Now, I don't know. We do have a list of the people that have been indicted. and we're going to read those off so you can see exactly their role play in this.
Yeah. So the number one, obviously, is this Angel Rivera. He's a resident of Puerto Rico. I'm not going to try to butcher the names of these places. So he started working at the VA in January 2009. In February of 2020, he was promoted to VA coach, where he supervised 18 rating veteran service representatives who adjudicated, granted, denied, confirmed, and continuing veteran disability claims.
So he was ahead of a team of raters, and all those raters were being given higher VA ratings while they were rating you.
Yeah.
So they were ripping people off while they were denying you benefits that you're trying to get, or approving them, whichever one you got. Okay. Then there's Richard Mateen, is a resident there in Puerto Rico. I'm not going to butcher that town's name. The owner of an auto repair business and a veteran, but not employed by the VA. He identified veterans who did not have 100% disability rating and offered to help them obtain 100% rating for the upfront cash fee plus a percentage of any back pay the veteran received. Rivera instructed veterans exactly what false information to provide when attending medical evaluations and completing their disability application paperwork. Rivera assisted, among other veterans charged in the indictment, to fraudulently obtain significant disability ratings. So he was like the inside guy. Okay, he was the inside guy.
So then you have Victor Soto, a veteran who fraudulently obtained 100% disability rating.
And then Brenda Garcia acted as a facilitator between co-conspirators and was the wife of Victor Garcia Soto, mother of Gabriel Garcia, and the sister of Randolph Baez. And you're going to see how all that links together.
Yeah, so
it was a family affair.
Right. So here's the Gabriel Garcia, a veteran and police officer who fraudulently obtained 100% disability.
And then Randolph Baez, a veteran and commercial flight attendant who fraudulently obtained a 60% rating.
And then Jose Torres Rosado, a veteran who fraudulently obtained a 90% rating.
And Eladio Pagan, a veteran and commercial airline pilot who fraudulently obtained a 70% disability rating.
And Ignacio Ramos Class, a veteran and Department of Homeland Security officer who fraudulently obtained 100% disability rating.
And Felix Rivera, a veteran who fraudulently obtained a 90% disability rating.
So with these 10, as they've got so far, if convicted, the defendants could face the following penalties: up to 5 years of imprisonment for conspiracy to defraud the United States, and up to 20 years of imprisonment for this and conspiracy, mail, and wire fraud counts. A federal district court judge will determine any sentence after considering the U.S. sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors.
Yep. So the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, OIG, are in charge of the investigation of these cases, which, in collaboration with Puerto Rico Police Bureau and San Juan Municipal Police and the Department of Human services of the Inspector General.
And the Assistant U.S. Attorney Scott Anderson from the Financial Fraud and Public Corporation or Corruption section of the United States Attorney's Office for the District of Puerto Rico is prosecuting the case.
Yeah. So that was the case out of all these people that were involved, and a lot of them was a family affair. Okay, they were all connected by a certain person or a lady, so they were all connected over there, and they hatched out this scheme. They thought they were getting away with it. They were helping relatives and good friends and stuff like that, and it all kicked back in their face, and they got caught. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's worth, but it was an easy scheme. It was easy. The guy who does, because you got to remember something. When your rater says, okay, this is a good rating, okay, and then it goes to the next step, which is the final approval. Well, Rivera was the final approval from his 9 raters down here. The people that were raters, they had to send it to him for final approval. And he said, hey, man, this is Baez, man. Hey, approved. Okay. Then it goes to the last step, notifying the veteran that they had an increase in their VA disability benefits. Okay. And it goes into the system. You get now, okay, what happens with the 5-year plan? 5 years, hey, we're going to check on you. We're going to have you do a physical. These are your disabilities. And all of a sudden they say, whoa, 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 whoa. Did you grow a left foot? Because up here you lost a left foot and now you've got a left foot. How did that happen? Because you do have your checks, okay, or whatever it is, or the doctor talks to you and says, hey, yeah, I don't see this wrong with you. What the hell's going on? Okay. And I'm going to tell you something. Physicals don't lie. When they tell you to come in for a checkup, a physical, or whatever, they're looking for something. Okay. If they're requesting it out of the blue. Okay. It's like me with my back. They were getting ready to hit 25 years and they're going, whoa, 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 whoa. We've never even done a CMP on this dude. And then I go from a 70% all the way up to a 90% because of my back. And then, oh, by the way, a good doctor, I would say, who's supposed to read your entire medical record when they do this to make sure they didn't miss anything, is going, well, wait a minute. These things should have been service connected. All of a sudden, boom, because the guy who did me, he was a naval doctor and he got out and he said, I signed up with these guys to help veterans. And he told me, he goes, I have to read 1,300 or 13,000 pages of your medical record. He goes, I'm going to be scanning it for keywords. Okay. Because he puts it through a computer and it'll tell him if the word back shows up or spine shows up, boom, it starts showing him what's going on in the computer thing. And then he was saying, oh my God, he goes, then I found these other things in there and you've never been rated for them. Boom.
There's a tornado on the ground in Atoka County and Colgate on 6 going towards 69.
Oh, there's a tornado on the ground.
Somewhere between
Colgate and Atoka.
Colgate and
Atoka.
So,
And Highway 69.
yeah, that's just south of it.
Yeah.
It's
going to be a fun night tonight, brother.
Well, hey, at least you got that, super fancy secret room.
I do. But I have a brand new travel trailer out there that I don't need to go to Oz. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, Glenn was trying to offer up. You should have got the pontoon version, and you could have just floated right down to
Oh man, I'm gonna
Louisiana.
tell you
I
something.
put this comment up real quick. Jay Oliver, yeah, announced last week finally got his 100% on disability in true and honest way after a year plus of claims and struggles.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
I'm gonna tell you something. Unless you can show them, hey, I was in an accident and it ripped my arm off my body. Okay. And I'm a classical pianist. I can't play the piano. I can play this side if somebody will play that side. But yeah, to work up, I've been I've been on the VA for 25 years now, and I've worked and I've worked and I've tried to do my due diligence. I'm at 90, and and I did 90 by doing it all myself. So I've never, and it, hell, who knows? I may go and find somebody that wants to handle this case and take me on, and they can get me to 100, and that would be great, you know. But it's hard work, guys. It is really hard work. It is frustrating work. Okay, not only to get denied after working on it, the waiting game. The waiting game can drive you insane. All right. And you go up there and go, man, it's been 6 months. It's still at 5 of 8. Oh my God. And then you go back and you say, oh man, it got moved back to 4 because finally somebody looked at it and said, hey, this don't freaking make sense. We need more information. And they kick it back down to 4 to gather more information. And then you're just going, oh my God, what's going on?
yeah.
It's been over a year or more for some people.
Yeah, and I think that, like you said, I think that that's the worst part of anybody that I've talked to that's going through. I mean, it didn't take me as long as some to get mine,
Yeah,
but uh, you know, part of it was because I talked to a lot of the older veterans that were going through it and had been doing it, and they're like, hey, just legal up first, or go through, like, I went through a guy that happened to be a buddy of mine, to be able to get it done. Because but even then, that waiting game, that is by far the worst part of it. I mean, yes, going to the appointments, and that's annoying, but you got to take time out of your day. A lot of times you got to travel to go do it, and then you're getting poked and prodded and questioned, and you're just like, come on, really? It's all right there. Like, why do you have to, you know and one of the biggest keys, and when we were reading through with these people that got busted in Puerto Rico, was when like you said, like even that guy, your doctor that went through your CMP, it was going through it, knew that there's key words that they use as the raters up there to confirm whether a condition exists, and it a lot of it is based on how it's written up in those medical documents. Is
yeah,
hey, here's the deal, limited range of motion, or can't lift X amount, or can't move, or hey, just doesn't have that arm. Those types of things that keep going in there. And it gets super frustrating. And then to know, right now, you've already got a system that everybody's questioning and not wanting to deal with because of the length of time. And then
sure.
this gets discovered that, oh, now they're doing fraudulent ones, and I'm sure there's a lot of people sweating right now because they may have done it. I mean, if it happened in one place, it happened in a lot more.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
And I think that if you're, Tara always has that concern for me. She's like, well, wait a minute, you can move around. And I said, yes, on 8 out of 10 days, I'm just fine. It's those 2 days, to 5 that I'm not okay with it.
Yeah.
And, kind of like Jay had mentioned, and when he was letting everybody know in there was, hey, those claims come up, and even when they found it in yours, there's medical documentation within the record that proves, hey, this is where I'm at with it. And if they
Exactly.
want to check things, hey, here's the times that I've had to go to the doctors for it. Here's outside source, for treatment and care when I went outside the VA to get that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it definitely. I guess I want to put it out there that don't let this story or this subject we talked about tonight deter you. Just make sure that, hey, your claim is there. But it reiterates even more that when you go in for a condition, say it's your back, and you're like, man, when my back goes out, I can't even bend over to put on my boots. But the day
Yeah.
you have the exam, you're feeling great, and you could tie your shoes, you can bend over, but you need to make sure that you're talking about your worst days, not your best days. When you're talking to the VA doctors and the raters and stuff like that, and even when you go in for your next physicals, be honest about your medical stuff. Like, hey, yeah, I'm fine today, but I might not be able to get out of bed tomorrow.
Yeah. What does it say? Skin and dry eye. Oh yeah, I heard about that. I've seen one channel do a thing on the dry eye syndrome, um, and it was connected to. Um, it was secondary to something else. I can't remember what they were doing. But yeah, that's. But you know what? There's one that wasn't on the list before, but they added it to it. And once they added it to it, there was a bunch of people that filed for it. Yeah. All right, brother. Thanks for being in there, Glenn.
No,
Oh,
well, evidently they're going to drown
I
over
thank
there.
Mr. International for coming in. And thank you for that super chat. Appreciate that.
Very much so. Go
And if
towards
you have not,
TikTok.
if you guys didn't know, we do have memberships. If you want to join those, you don't have to, but we do appreciate that. And all money that we do make on this channel goes to the McAllister Homeless Veteran Shelter to support our brothers and sisters that occupy that facility. It's a community one, but they do have a second side that has partial funding because it's just for veterans. So, and they do have a thrift store there that people donate to, and they make money off that to help support the shelter here in McAllister, Oklahoma. So, thank you. That money will be given to the director, a friend of mine. He is the director over there. He works out at the Army base here where I used to work. So he has double duties as, I guess, the CEO of that homeless shelter, plus a regular job that he does Monday through Friday. But thank you very much, Mr. International. I got 20% for dry eye because I got prescribed eye drops for both eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like Mike was saying earlier in the show was if you get an initial or even work enough to get to the 40%, then they're going to start covering all your medical conditions. And that's
Yeah.
something that, I mean, a lot of times it just takes the right doctor or right person looking at, going back to look at your records to notice that, oh, well, we're treating you. Let's just use this for example, right? You're getting
Yeah.
eye drops from the VA, but it's not on your rating. But then all of a sudden they switch your primary doctor on you and they go and look at it and they're like, well, yeah, this is connected because you were in this chemical environment for so long during this time and you rate it, and now all of a sudden you went from 40 to maybe a 50, or it's enough
Yeah.
to get a little bit. It's just getting that first foot in the door, and then once you're in, hey, then you just start working on increases. And
Right.
oh, Devil Dog. I was trying to understand what he was talking about there, but he's talking about with the subs. It's a YouTube thing. People like YouTube loves to take subs back from you after they gave you some.
Oh, yeah. Who's under 1.5? Oh, is that us?
Yeah, I think we dropped just below it again or something.
Okay.
But no, they give some, take some. It's a YouTube norm.
Did anybody hear about the what? The red rack? Well, red rack?
I don't think
hopefully she's not. I don't think she's talking about a redhead chick. I don't know what that means.
We're gonna need some more clarification.
I'm a dude. You put the word rack in there, and I'm going, what?
Let's see. Jet fuel, firefighting foam, gunpowder, Terra.
Yep. That'll do it right there. What's that, babe? Oh, a DAV thrift store. Okay.
Okay.
Getting my chew over there. I said that on TV too. Yeah, a lot of people that spray foam stuff, the firefighters.
Yeah.
Dude, that's some ugly stuff. And we've had people in here that were firefighters that they're getting a substantial rating for being around that crap, especially their eyes, eyes, lungs. Yeah.
Well, it's that combo of a lot of things that they put you around. Like I remember early in my career they talked about, because working on tanks, you've got all that hydraulic fluid, and it's what do they call it? The fire retardant hydraulic oil, right? FRH, and that stuff gets hot, really, really hot. But then they would freak out, but as a mechanic, you would have to get in there, and I don't know how many times I took baths in it. Like right. I didn't have an option. Like you undo a line that shouldn't have pressure and it did, or you weren't ready for it to have as much fluid in it because it wasn't drained as much as you thought, and you're just wearing it. And I remember early on laughing because I'm like, okay, it's hydraulic oil. I've had oil on my skin since birth. What's it? But one of the warnings is that it could cause paralysis. And I'm like, well, all of my stuff's working just fine. And I haven't had any issues with it whatsoever, but oh boy, they would shut the facility down and make them go change and get new clothes and take the other stuff. Like they did pull their uniform, their overalls and stuff, and go run them over to hazmat and yeah, they were when I was in towards the last part of my career. I was at Fort Leonard Wood at the Chemical Defense Training Facility, and we were training soldiers inside a thing called the hot area. Every single day, we had to mop 4 up, go in there, and part of the the purpose of the training is to have soldiers build confidence in their chemical equipment. And so you're using the exact same stuff that you get issued, although some of it's been worn 40, 50 times, and then you're putting that stuff on and also helping out logistics side to show, hey, when do these suits lose their protection level? So we had to test the suits each and every time that they go in and out, and then recycle them back into the system. But I was in there every single day, and we had to do blood draws every week, and they did that. I was there for 2 years, and so every week, 52 times a year, you had a mandatory blood draw. And then if anything happened, like overage alarm or whatever,
they had to draw blood from everybody. If part of your, for some reason, someone said, "Oh man, hey, your skin's exposed right there," then you have to go do a blood draw. If you get sick in any different kind of way, they have to draw blood to check to make sure you didn't get exposed to GB or VX nerve agent, because those are the two nerve agents that's created in the lab on the facility. So yeah, I did that for 2 years. Now, who knows what the ramification is down the road?
Yeah.
Who knows what that is? And it's with everything. When they start saying, "Hey, we're seeing this foam thing," or firefighters, all these guys are getting these freaking illnesses and stuff like that. What's the common thing? There was always spray foam used or whatever. And so that is a big thing for the firefighters, for the airport safety crews that are exposed to all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it helps looking into anything and everything for a disability. Shaving bumps, athlete's foot, acne, ringworm. Oh wow! If you got all those when you were in the military and they're service connected, yeah.
Well, especially if you have, like a lot of that stuff is one of those that if it's still causing you some medical conditions now, like skin conditions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you went to, while you were in the military, you went into the TMC, Troop Medical Center, or whatever, Seaman Medical Center, whatever the hell you call it in your branch of the service, and for flash burns or whatever, and it's documented in your medical records, by all means, use that to your advantage, because it's only got to happen once. Okay.
Yeah.
I know I had a dislocation of my shoulder. I still haven't done my shoulders. It's in my medical records that I full dislocation of this shoulder and stuff. And then I've had to have a reconstruction of it. But I don't know if nobody's caught that. But we're going to be working on, because I've had both shoulders redone, but I got to read back through my medical records to see if there's any ammunition in there for both sides of my shoulders. So, plus I got to wait for my knees and all that other garbage approved again. Man, once it surpasses the time, you got to start all over again for approvals. It just absolutely sucks. Oh, Anna Bohr, thank you.
Good to see you in, Robin.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and that was a lot of it too. Like he was talking about with the welding. Even if you didn't have something in your medical, like if your job while you were in required welding, because I think that's the hardest part, right? Is us as veterans, we tell all these young guys and anybody that's thinking about going in or in right now, like go to medical for everything, go to medical for everything. But if you think back to like when we were in, that was the last thing that you were going to do. Because
if you was in a leadership position, you were you had to be dying.
Right. Because the last thing that anybody wanted was to go into medical, and then all of a sudden you became, I guess worst would really be like a limited duty, or, if you're light duty, okay, fine. Which that just means, hey, you're down for a couple days, you'll be back. Limited duty. But there's a timeline on it. I can't remember what the timeline is now, but I want to say that you're only allowed, don't quote me on this, but I think it was like 60 days total of limited duty that you were authorized for your entire military career.
Yeah.
You were only allowed to be on limited duty, or they're processing you out on a medical. And so you start avoiding that, because if they're going to put you on that limited duty status, which then makes you non-deployable. So then, the unit's going to either put you in some crappy job that you don't want to do, or, hey, guess what? MPs need gate guards, you're not good at anything else, so we're shipping you off there to be a gate guard for 6 months.
Well, and the sad thing is being in a military senior leadership position that I was in. If you're non-deployable, you're worthless to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely worthless to me. And I have transferred people over to the U.S. Army garrison and applied for another soldier to come in because this guy, they're saying, oh, he's non-deployable for a long time, but you can't kick him out. Oh, but he can do desk duties and be reassigned. And so a buddy over there, a sergeant major, and he said, dude, I need people on desk duties. There you go. Take this guy. Okay. So yeah, and that's a sad thing, but if you're non-deployable, I mean, you're not putting a bang in the fight, or would have been, but it's sad, but it's the truth of the matter. Okay. And then as a leader, I mean, I had, because of jumping and stuff like that, I just blew out the nerves in my left foot, and they had to cut it the bottom open and remove those, so I can't feel my toes and stuff like that on that side. But I still wore a boot after surgery because I was not going to put that Jesus sandal on. And that's what we called it. Guys walking around with a Jesus sandal on.
Right.
For whatever. I tried to stay off of it as much as possible. And it was just absolutely painful. I got it infected, and they had to cut it open again and pack it full of gauze. And instead of that, I took 30 days leave so I wouldn't be around my soldiers with that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how ingrained it was not to go to medical and not to take care of yourself because of the perception to the people that you lead.
Yeah. So it's a double-edged sword, while you're on active duty, of, okay, this medical condition, do I really go into medical for it or not? But then when you get out, I mean, I noticed with a lot of us, because going to the schoolhouse, a lot of us knew that was the end of our career, like we were going to be retiring from there. And so it was like we front loaded because we were already in a non-deployable, because we're at the schoolhouse, we're admin staff.
Right.
So we're already non-deployable. So it was like a flood to medical. Whenever we had something to try to, get those, because we knew, hey, we're in the latter part of our career. This, some of the guys did end up going back to the fleet afterwards, but there was a good handful or more of us that was our twilight tour. That was our last tour. And so then it was finally like, hey, get in there, because you couldn't afford it. And actually one of the guys that I was with, he actually had to fight to get his retirement because he had went in, he'd gotten sick. We didn't know what it was. Like, he just couldn't. So finally enough was enough, went to medical. They did blood work and stuff on him, and come to find out he had type 1 diabetes.
Oh, wow.
And, they're like, started giving him insulin.
Yeah.
But they started the paperwork to process him for a medical separation, not a retirement.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have 8 months before I'm eligible to retire. Like, and, took a message, a letter to the congressman, and, stuff like that they finally did, said, hey, you know what? He's already in a school status, is non-deployable. It doesn't affect what he's doing at work. Like, he can still do his job at the schoolhouse.
Yeah.
So, and they did.
What's that old saying? Them that can't do, teach.
Yeah.
That is a true mentality of the military. But see, there was a time in the military where they took all the military trainers out of the schoolhouses and put civilians in there. All of them were veterans. in the MOS and stuff like that. Or if it's a piece of equipment, it was somebody, the company that manufactured the equipment and stuff like that. They did that for a long time.
Yeah.
And they found out that soldiers were getting softer when you taught them in a college type environment. Okay. And then when they got to the unit, they're like, holy crap. They still yell at you here.
Well, see, and there was like this. I don't know if necessarily you call it a petition, right? But there was a lot of conversation going on of guys that were coming back from deployments injured.
Yeah.
Still fully functioning. And one that comes to mind, I remember vividly. He was a tank crewman. He was a tank leader. Was a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps. I mean, he knew his stuff. That guy, just everything about him was, he was a Marine's Marine.
Right.
All the knowledge, all this stuff. Well, one of his injuries he suffered was he ended up losing an eye. And so, he ended up getting a fake eye and all that stuff, would wear the patch around. But they medically separated him. And I remember the unit was pushing, because, I mean, this guy was a pillar of the tank community. They were pushing to at least get him his time to where let him go to the schoolhouse. And it made so much sense, because it's like he could still do his job. He can still train Marines, like, why not? If these, because I think that's the hardest, the guys that I've talked to anyways, the hardest part of being that whole Wounded Warrior package was they just want to get back in the fight. They want to still serve.
Exactly.
They're getting separated because, now they've got a prosthetic, they've got something else. Like, they're going to be non-deployable. So why not? If they still want to serve and do that, there's positions in the garrison, in the rear, schoolhouses, stuff like that, yep, they can still maintain their MOS, teach future Marine soldiers, sailors, airmen, like, obviously there's certain jobs like infantry. I don't imagine that they're going to be able to, but it's still not unheard of, right? There's guys running marathons with 2 prosthetic legs. Like,
yeah.
There's obviously a limitation to it, but I think that it'd be so much better served. Those guys that don't have so much of the PTSD mental issues, but even some of them, the medication helps them and they're able to do it. But the guys that didn't have that suffering, it would just happen to be, hey, I lost a limb or an eye or whatever, and it's enough.
There was a general. I got a coin from him in Bosnia, and he was in charge of the NATO forces in Bosnia when we went in there, and he was from Hawaii. He later became the director of the Veterans Administration. Well, during the Gulf War, he lost the front part of his foot, right, from like the ankle forward. And he was the pivotal part of the I can just speak for the Army, that they said, hey, this guy is living proof that, because in the past, if you lost a body part like that, you were out, you were gone. But he was a 4-star general, and they made him the commander of NATO forces. And I talked to his guys because I knew one of the guys on his escort team, because he's a 4-star. They get an escort team and stuff like that, bodyguards. So I talked to him, and he said, oh, yeah. He goes, he's the biggest proponent of, hey, just because you lost the body part and your brain's still working, that you can be an asset to the government, whether it's in a schoolhouse, whether it's in a TOC headquarters, when you're deployed, in a divisional TOC, and you're running computers and stuff like that, because you've got your brain and you've got your fingers and stuff like that. So, yeah. And you've seen a lot of people after the Gulf War that once they got a prosthetic or something like that, they stayed in the military. Now, they may not be, a ground pounder anymore out there with, walking for hundreds of miles, on a mission and stuff like that, but they were good. There was a position somewhere that a person can work in, whether you're in supply, whether you're in an arms room, whether you're whatever the case is, there was a place for you. And they did allow people to stay in with disabilities like that. So hats off to them during that time period. I don't know where they're at now because I've been so removed. But there's one thing I do want to say, and we did get some news today, and Tim put it in the chat that Dana did lose her father. He passed away yesterday. So prayers out to the Mason family and to Dana's family on her side, that they can make it through this time of loss. So our prayers are for you guys. So thank you for reminding me, Tim. So yeah. Let's see. Yeah, everybody's saying prayers for them and for her. That's her daddy. Yeah, and her dad was a veteran. So we salute his service to our great country. I hate losing a veteran, but we know what happens. Okay?
Right.
And I hope they prepared themselves. I hope it wasn't just a spur of the moment thing. So yeah, people been watching the radar around here. It's getting hairy, very scary.
We didn't see the pictures in the back vibrating yet, so the house must still be on its foundation.
I can still hear it out there. Yeah, I think we're on the back side. Are we on the back side?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the back side because I can hear the thunder now for the back side of it, and it'll have a push going through.
Yeah,
it was just south of us. There was a tornado just south of us again. Yeah, when you buy a house in Oklahoma, look and see how many old houses are around you. That'll tell you how often the place got hit. If that old house down, because we got one down here and it's still standing, so. But that's just God's way of cleaning up old buildings in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't.
There we go.
I mean, it got dark, but I don't think we've got anything. They're talking about it's going to be like overnight around 2-3 a.m. It's supposed to start raining a little bit, which be good for the garden. It dried out enough. We got some work, but.
So, guys, I hope the information we gave you tonight, and nobody wanted to come up and talk. So, I mean, that's kind of like standard for us, but we're always giving you the opportunity to come up. We put the link at the top. We can come up and talk about anything because I know veterans have questions. Okay. And if we don't know the answer, we dang sure are going to try to find you an answer. Or if you ask for advice, we can only give it to you. As we said in the military, we're just shithouse lawyers and we don't get paid for it, but we'll tell you what we do know and we'll help you find the answer. We do put our email address in the description every single week. So we've opened that up so you can email us like a lot of veterans have done in the past. And if you're on the border, whether you should apply for VA healthcare, the short answer is yes.
Always yes.
Always yes. It can't hurt you. All it can do is help you. Yeah. Indiana, we are getting smoke from Canada. Oh, and then there was supposed to be, what was that thing? The Saharan dust storm is getting close to the United States. So Thursday, was it?
This weekend it should be hitting here. Well, sometime this weekend.
Yeah, sometime this weekend it should be over Oklahoma area. So you'll see a lot of haze. You think it's a fire, but it's the dust from the Sahara Desert that's flown over, and now it's coming down here to cause, I'm sure it's going to have people with respiratory problems because that's some fine, dusty sand that's come all the way from the Sahara Desert.
Right.
So the other one is the Gobi Desert. They have one. What is that one in China? China has a bad one that comes over the Mongolian desert or something like that. So.
Goes over Korea all the time.
But guys, we thank you for coming in. And if you have a subject you want us to talk about, please contact us and we'll research it and we'll put something together for you guys. But remember, be kind to one another, help somebody in need, and always, always thank a vet. Guys, I can't stress that enough. Our veterans need all the gratitude that we have for them. And if you know a veteran that's in need, hey, contact us. I mean, I know I'm part of Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association. I can get online and find out who the closest chapter is and see if they can come over there and check up on the veteran you're talking about. And if they need any assistance, they can help. Or we can talk to them one-on-one and give them a place to go to find an answer in their local area. So, guys, thanks for coming in. Yep, we will stay safe. Terry's probably got the safe room open, ready to run in there. But, guys, we love you. God bless you. And for me, you guys be safe out there. Any final words, brother?
You said it all perfectly. Appreciate every one of you being in here.
How come Terry never says that to me?
Thank you.
I'll make up for it. At least.
Oh, and the new travel trailer, guys. I am loving that new travel trailer. So, yeah, can't wait to use it. I think our first trip is we're going to go down and set up on Lake Texoma. We're going to visit that several times to different state parks, both on the Texas side and the Oklahoma side, or Corps of Army Engineer places, so people can get a feel and see where we're going to have the Mid-America YouTube meetup in 2026. So, guys, thanks for coming in. Hey, God bless you, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.
See ya. Bye now.